Hey, thanks for having us at your home. I really appreciate that.
Good, man.
I got 2 books in my hand. Ready? One is yours.
Yeah.
I would love to have it signed. We don't have to do that now. Bart has one as
Uh-huh.
well. And this is the flow system book. Let me just give you some background on it. We took a lot of lessons from fighter aviation, crew resource management, the OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act, complexity theory, and we combined it with the Toyota production system. So mission command, distributed leadership, all the lessons we learned in the cockpit, from situational awareness to how to build high-performing teams with the plan, brief, execute, debrief approach. And then we really dove into where does that not work? And there are contexts where that doesn't work all the time. But we know that because of you standing up the weapons school, you changed the trajectory of how people perform, including, I believe, Navy SEALs. And I want to ask you about that as well. So before we get into the podcast and all that, I want to give you this. This is a shirt that says, what part of don't you understand? That is actually John Boyd's Observe, Orient, Decide, Act loop. You've been flying that your whole life. On the back, it says no way out. So I want to give that to you.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
this will be your copy. Please do not read it because you'll fall asleep. If anybody falls, if you need to fall asleep, you can do that. It is very academic.
Yeah.
But what we did is we merged a lot of the things that we learned from the web.
You want to put it up here?
Oh, yeah.
It's in the camera.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. We can leave it right here. It's fine right now.
Whatever.
But let me kick us off with a pathway, and I want you to pick it up. So let's go back to the 1960s, and we get into the aerial attack study. We learn about the AIM-9B. We learn about lead and lag. We learn about all these things. John Boyd takes the spatial relationships between aircraft in a 3-dimension fight, a 4-dimension fight, and breaks it down for us in the aerial attack study. And then he goes on to create this energy-maneuverability theory based off the second law of thermodynamics. All right. So now the Air Force has this big push to use this algorithm on how to drive technical performance in their F4s. Right. So we're in Vietnam. The alt report comes out, and then you pick up and you're at VF 121.
Yeah.
And you're asked to stand up this thing called a fighter weapons school, which you end up calling Top Gun. So you're the godfather of Top Gun, right? And then your team, you select 4 pilots, 4 RIOs. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
They go on to figure out how to do this in 90 days. Is that right?
60 days.
60 days. So you steal a trailer. You take all the concepts from a lean startup, which is you're given a goal or direction of travel. They don't tell you how to do it. You hire the right people. You bring them in. You give them a mission, and they go out and execute on it. And it's phenomenal. And in fact, you end up meeting John Boyd, and you challenge him on his EM theory. Your guys do, at least. And they say, you forgot about the most important thing.
Yeah.
The heart, skill, and drive of the person in the cockpit.
That's right.
So can you pick up the story from there and kind of share some ideas on the origins of Top Gun?
Oh, well, March 1st, 1969 is the birthday, the official day we started Top Gun. Remember that the war in Vietnam had been going on for 5 years. You always end up fighting a war with the tools you have or the airplanes that you have. So we had F4s and A4s, and good old industry has always been in the lead because they moved through the political arena, and you don't get a vote. You don't get a vote, as to what the airplane really is and what goes in it. I'd like to mention right now in Vietnam, we just never had a gun in the Phantom. As great as it was, we never had a gun.
So why did they take the gun out? Let me ask you that. Why did they take the gun out?
Weight,
right?
And industry was selling the idea of radar weapons that you could reach out 10, 12 miles and shoot them and never see them, minimizing the risk.
Yeah.
And it's the marketing guys in the industry to do
So they got fixated on the technology.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
We always do that. And you know what? It's profit motive.
Yeah.
And And you and I, the Top Gun guys, believe, and I'm been an advocate all my life, is still the individual. Condor believes that, all of it. The original 8 guys that I selected were 8 out of 15 that worked for me. And I was teaching basic tactics. And and you get 60-day mandate. You got to have it up and flying. And this is a graduate school.
Yeah.
That's a John Boyd level
Oh, yeah.
school.
Yeah.
That's not 5 years into the war, and we're still not, what the kill ratio was?
Low twos, right?
2 to 1.
Yeah.
In other words, we were shooting down 2 of them for every one of us. And that gets old doing that a couple times a day out there for real. So, and to go back to your comment, it wasn't a light turned on as much as it was of the 8 guys. They were the best I had out of 15 working for me. Because if I'd have gone through Washington, the Bureau of Personnel, I'd have never, I'd have been an old man again. And shit, I don't need
stuff has changed, right?
yeah. Anyhow, and then if I'd have gone via Washington, some politician would have stepped in on behalf of the marketeers.
Yeah.
And they would have said, what does he know? Get him out of here. They're young. All of us have always believed, and still do, that youth knows as much as the elders do when you're fighting a war. In your combat missions, you are usually the first to go, the young ones.
Yeah.
And we proved in Vietnam that was the answer. Let's see, I want to answer everything. Yeah, 5 years. I picked the 8 guys. All of them had 2 combat tours.
Okay. Yeah.
And all of them could fly the pants off the Phantom.
Yeah.
And initially 60 days made us blink. God almighty, that's impossible. But with bright guys, I selected those guys because if you look at what we accomplished in 60 days, it was elements, and they were kind of different. And each of the guys had some real talent.
Yeah.
Mel Holmes, an example, probably the brightest guy in aerodynamics, jet aerodynamics.
Yeah.
He's a guy that took on
he
John
took
Boyd.
on Boyd. Right.
And he and Jerry Sawatsky. And each guy had his own ability. They all had combat experience. They'd all survived at least 2. Jimmy Lang, the backseater, the youngest one, he had been on the ground in North Vietnam twice. He'd been shot down, got 2 MiGs, but we rescued him twice.
Yeah.
So these guys had a real purpose in making it work. And the answers were there. And they didn't take a lot of study.
Yeah. It's right in front of you.
I told the guys, here's your area, your area. We got 60 days. In about 45 days, I want you to submit a thesis on your area or whatever you call it. And we're going to review them. We're going to do the murder board, the famous murder board.
Yeah.
We're going to murder board every subject. And then if we like them and we agree, we're all going to sign the final documents at the end of 60 days and say, we're ready for a graduate school. Bring on the students. And a lot of words, but that's how it got started.
So you pulled together these 8 folks. They probably had a diverse background in education. They saw the world differently, but they had a similar experience in Vietnam. They had a mission in mind, and they were starved of resources. You had to steal a trailer on the flight line. You had to borrow aircraft. You had to do everything you could. But that is actually how novelty emerges, is from constraints that are in the system. So there's nothing unique about the weapons school story, the Top Gun story, that companies can't learn from. So the whole lean startup idea has connections to this story as well. So the engagement with John Boyd is of interest to our listeners, because our view is that John Boyd was fixated on technology, that algorithm, that approach known as EM theory, the fluid four, which is how the Air Force fought in World War II, I believe, and in Korea. And then you saw the loose deuce capability, which is probably the birth of what I consider defensive combat spread and offensive combat spread. And for our listeners out there, what happens when you're in offensive combat spread, you make it a challenge for the enemy to spot two aircraft, because we're not flying tight. Right. We're flying in a height difference and an azimuth difference. And it creates a problem, right?
If you look at it with a triangle behind the tailpipes of the airplanes, they cross at a point. You can see the enemy behind the other guy usually, and it optimized the use of two airplanes. And then we first of all, go back to what opening comment, we had to use the F4. No time to get new airplanes. There wasn't anything on the drawing board. I wish I'd have worked with John Boyd a little closer on the F-16, which today, incidentally, I think is probably the best fighter airplane in the world.
Yeah.
It's better than the Eurofighter. Now, you give me a 9G airplane, and
big mouth motor,
I'll take anybody on.
Yeah. So on that, so the EM theory built or gave us the F-18, YF-17 at the time. So we're seeing that, and the YF-16. And it was actually EM theory that said, on paper, the YF-17, now the F-18, should outperform.
Yeah.
But this is where that fast transience comes into play. And that's that ability to pivot rapidly. And I think that's what you're talking about with the F-16 is...
It's called roll rate.
Roll rate, or redefining the fight.
An engineer.
Yeah, redefining the fight. Right.
He's an engineer.
So the idea is to redefine the fight, to get inside of somebody's mind, right? If you can redefine it. And that's, I think... what you did with the F4 is in the vertical. Can you share some insights about how you use the vertical?
First of all, in the first fighter squadron I was in, when I was really young, I was an infant. I was assigned to VFAW3 at North Island, which you can see every day on the podcast on here, on YouTube. San Diego Harbor, and it shows North Island. Runway 18, well, I've got 700 takeoff on runway 18 in a Skyray. And as an ensign. But what I started to tell you was, I believe God gave me some talent and made me really want to fly, and kept me alive for many years doing it. But he had his hands on us. In 60 days, we did the impossible. Mainly our own talent, but God was, and I don't know whether you want to put that in, but
no, we do. Absolutely.
I believe that.
Yeah, I believe
that. And in the individual talent of each guy, that was God-given. How in the hell they ended up in a fighter squadron working for me at the time, who knows? But I want to go back to the first fighter squadron I was ever in. I checked in, and here is a third living ace in World War II, Gino Valencia, who's my XO.
Wow.
And I met him that morning. I checked in that squadron. And the squadron CO was Howard P. 80, who discovered the Japanese fleet at the Battle of Midway.
No way.
Oh, yeah. No, it gets better. There's over 3 more. Alex Verashu, probably the Navy's finest gunner in an airplane. Tex O'Neill, a famous Tex O'Neill. There were 5 aces in that fighter squadron. And they all come back from the war, and they were tired. They had done all the flying they probably ever wanted to do, but for some reason they stayed in the Navy.
Mhm.
And so they all mentored us. Valencia, I learned more from Gene Valencia than anybody. Man, one other guy, Claude Leving.
Mhm.
Claude Leving today is living in on the East Coast, and he's 103 years old.
Oh, wow.
So there's hope for me, you know. And so anyhow, there isn't a lot new. It's a matter of the young guys having the openness or the being allowed to use their own talent.
Yeah.
And then you got to be so good. And we ended up, you know, in what, 73 at the end of the war, from March of 69 to the end of the Vietnam conflict in 73.
Just gonna check this.
Go ahead. You want to take a break?
Oh, no. Continue. I'm sorry. I'll just make sure we're recording here.
Anyhow, the kill ratio ended up 24-1. And all we did was optimize the number of Phantoms we had flying.
Yeah.
And we used the vertical. And, you know, 1 potato, 2 potato,
Mhm.
3 potato, 4. and the Phantom had so much piece of bed.
Yeah.
So very much power. And you get, when you fly it in the vertical, I made every one of the guys and every one of our students in the first 3 or 4 classes we taught, I made them just go out 550 knots and pull it straight up, leave it in afterburner, and go to 0 airspeed, and leave it in burner and come back down tail slide. And that old airplane didn't like it. Oh, it would chug.
Yeah.
But every time it'll always come out the same way. And there's no MiG driver in the world ever going to follow you.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Fighting in 2 dimensions. Is that what we saw in Vietnam for the most part from the Vietnamese? Or were they fighting 2-dimensionally, or were they using the vertical at that time?
Well, you know, it depends. The MiG-17, it was a horizontal fighter because of the wing design.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the elements that John defined in his original equation was true. Even today, over the years, I can look at an airplane and I can tell you tactically how to employ it.
Yeah. Based on the wing design?
Wing, piece of best.
Yeah.
Drag.
Yeah.
Canopy, visibility. I can look at the airplanes and I can tell you the good one. And G limiting is always. But the 17 was a vertical fighter. You get your butt handed to you.
In a vertical or the horizontal?
Horizontal.
Okay.
And MiG-21 would go in the vertical. And you better be careful. You better own the vertical when you start up. In other words, don't go up unless you got the knots.
When you match them, or you go up with
to beat him on top. You may end up laying on your back up on top, which is good because you're sitting up there watching a fight. We defined it as an egg.
Yeah.
And that was J.C. Smith nicknamed that. And it worked. And if we'd had a gun, we'd have gotten 10 more killed than we ever did.
Yeah. So did the egg? So using the vertical came out of your work after 121, or while you were in 121, or right when you started school?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then just getting other pilots to be comfortable with that tail slide with a were they J-59s? I can't remember the engines.
Oh, I hate them. You know, there's no flight controls in the back of the Phantom.
Right.
So I'd put a brand new Nugget pilot in the back, and I'd go up and demonstrate this, what I'm just told you. And then come back to the OPGUN refueler. You come back and hot refuel, and I'd shut the left engine down and tell the youngster, okay, get up here. And I'd climb in the back with no flight control.
Yeah.
I'd say, now I want you to go out and do exactly the same thing that we did on the first half of this mission.
Yeah.
And, some of them were scared, but as long as you didn't touch the ailerons, it wouldn't spin. So
this is important because you get a demo, do, teach model, which is you're going to go demo it, you're going to do it, you're going to go out and experience and train the other people how to do that, right? So that's the idea of what we learn from anytime in fighter aviation is you demo it, you do it, and then you can teach it to somebody else. I got a question. When you were working with the aces from World War II, and I'm sorry, I forgot all their names. The transfer of knowledge from their experience in World War II, even in Korea, to what we saw going into Vietnam. Can you tell us how the debrief changed from when you were a Nugget to what it looked like in the mid-70s and even today?
You know, it's teacher talking to student. It's old man. I've been there and done it, talking to the young ensign who's in awe of you anyhow, and you pay attention. And most of it came through war story.
Yeah, stories.
And a hell of a lot of it was not formal Navy briefings.
Yeah.
It was sitting at the bar, being invited over at North Island. There's a famous bar called the I Bar. And the I Bar was controlled by only the aces. In other words, if you weren't, no ensign would ever go in there without
I didn't know that.
being invited.
Okay.
And I'd go in there, and in Valencia, once in a while, we had a lot of airplanes, different kinds. And we had two-seaters side by side. And he could take off and land, but his eyesight was terrible. But we'd go up in an F-3D Skynet, and he'd be taking off and doing this and that. And he's talking the whole time, telling me, you know, you got to watch this. And he's telling me these stories of his engagement.
Yeah.
That guy shot down 6 guys in one day. And
but it's the informal social.
Yes, it is. That's, in simple words, that's right.
Yeah, it's the stories we tell after we have a debrief, where we go to a water cooler, we go to dinner, we go socialize. I think this is what most organizations don't understand is they don't create that environment. They don't create the social network where people can have those conversations. Those impromptu conversations by the water cooler is where we get the culture, where we get the transfer of knowledge. The debrief is powerful, right? I mean, it really is. But yet that leads to this. And I think
the brief is equally as important as the debrief punch. But the manner, you know, Top Gun ended up a small group. Right now, there are 650 members of our association. About 46 or 47 former COs or ONCs. It grew. You know what it is? It's a brotherhood. It's probably the best fraternity. And Mary B's been to the 50th reunion. That's why we wrote the book, Top Gun, American Story, is to try and Tick Condor and I and Jim Lang and Daryl Gary, of course, and Steve Smith. He was phenomenal. He got a building in about 2 hours for us. He stole the building, you know. You've seen pictures of it, I think. And hey, necessity is the mother of invention.
That's
man.
right. Yeah. So,
Do
once you find that novelty, and I think you guys did that, and you continue to do that, the weapons school does. I want to ask, what you did a lot of work after leaving the military and leaving the Navy. You've talked to a lot of folks about the lessons from the weapons school, and we'll just call it it's a place where you create better coaches, better trainers, better leaders, better air crew, right? And it's the human factor that matters there with technology. That is being lost in organizations today. They don't know that the human is still the most important thing. So what advice would you give to them if they wanted to create their own quote unquote weapon school for their Toyotas, their GEs of the world? What would you recommend?
Well, I think, don't you believe, Punch, that every company that's successful has a pretty good people-oriented CEO and his team? You know, without getting into politics, you look at Trump and his board and his secretariat. Hey, it works. He's got damn fraternities started. Those people are going to be allies, and he'll grow another president out of that group. Yeah. And that's the difference. Most companies, CEOs, they got a treasurer who's always hounding them, and you got to look at the profit motive.
Yeah.
And then I think we're still enamored with new things. Yeah. Chinese and the Russians, they managed to get hold of the drawings, and they've replicated our new airplanes and the weapon system, gentlemen. But they're missing the one thing. And I almost, I'm old, but I don't worry about those two anymore. Because you know what maintains our airplanes, even the new ones, is the career enlisted guys. When I skippered the aircraft carrier Ranger later in my career, I had 5,400 guys, no women. Sorry about that. And so you got to involve them. You got to take care of your cabinet, if you will, or whatever you want to call them on the carrier. My chiefs, I had a great master chief. People sometimes are intimidated by a carrier skipper, with that many walking around the ship and stuff. I had a master chief, Dave Hobbs, David M. Hobbs. He's in the book. And he's in my new book. I got a new book getting ready to go out.
All right.
It's called USS Ranger, An American Story. And I'm trying to get it published. So anyhow, Dave Hobbs was a senior enlisted man in the Navy, chief boatswain mate. And I told him and this is something, take this away with you. When I got him to come and be the master chief of my boat, the carrier, I said, I will back you 100% whatever you do, but I want you to organize the chief petty officers, and I want them to lead, and I want them to teach. I want them to mentor the best 5 or 6, each of them, that work for them. And they did. We had phenomenal success on the carrier. Same thing in Top Gun. John Nash, the famous John Nash. God, every one of those guys that worked for me at Top Gun, same principle, transfer to the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Find the junior leadership or the middle grade leadership that's been there, that's got the knowledge and got the courage to teach it and mentor the people who work for them. And by God, it worked.
Yeah.
And I know where you're going in your company. What I've read about is I too have been asked to lecture to CEOs and boards of directors about the leadership concept and why Top Gun worked and why it's 60, what are we now? We're 50, 58 years?
58, 57?
I think it's 58,
Yeah.
55. 50.
Math in public, don't ask me to do that. Okay.
But the same things, I said, if you bring in quality people, and in the forward to my book, Top Gun American Story, there are about 8 standards that are used when you hire new instructors, when you bring new people aboard. I use them on the aircraft carrier. I look at the guy and take the time to get to know him, and I measure him against those 8 things. And you know, those 8 things that are in the forward to that book are still the selection criteria that's used up at Fallon for Top Gun today. And it's used in civilian life by corporation.
I want to unpack this some more. So, going through the program, so I want to make sure everybody understands. There's different levels of completeness, or when you go through a syllabus, there's level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is a mission commander syllabus that's out there that we put into fleet, but I want to unpack that a little bit more. So, mission commander, the idea of that has propagated itself inside of industry as product owner, somebody who owns a strategy, things like that. That is something that is an apprenticeship model inside of the way we do business in the Navy. It's not something that you just have somebody do a book and do that. They actually have to go through a process of learning how to do the planning, do the briefing, lead the debriefing, lead sections, lead a fight, debrief, everything. It's a demo do teach model. And I think that's where organizations get wrong, is they think it's just a classroom you go sit in and do. You actually have to do this and demonstrate a competency in not just the technical side, but also the human side. Like, how do I coach somebody? How do I demonstrate that I understand how to do an effective planning process and briefing and an effective debrief? Can you talk a little bit more about how that emerged out of the weapons school, that concept?
Top Gun, the purpose in putting it together was the urgency of the war, obviously. Had to change the kill ratio rapidly. And what you're doing in what you just described is you have got to be able to lecture or teach or lead from a position of excellence. And you want to maintain that excellence. In other words, you're not teaching guys, unfortunately it happens, but you don't want to teach them to go work for the airlines. You want to teach them to stay in and become so proficient themselves, and they're so smart. And something as simple and subtle as this. The goddamn Top Gun guys, their wives, they treasure these guys. Now, most of them, they're pretty proud of the guys who have been there. I know she most of the time, Bio just sent Beth 6 books. I don't know where they are today, but he, at 14.
Yeah, the new books. Yeah.
And he signed his books to the first lady of Top Gun. And that was really nice of him. And we're proud of that. And she's proud of me. She always has been. I've known her since her 13th, 14th birthday.
Yeah.
She was a little bit younger, but still good looking woman.
But your book is a love story, by the way, right? I mean, yeah. It's clear to me. It's Mary Beth is throughout the book.
Yeah.
It's a common thread, right?
Yeah. No, that's fun. It's people. And the biggest thing is what you got to watch out for. What you're saying is, I'm trying to translate to your language in industry and what the Navy's doing. The reason they've gone to such detail in briefing and debriefings, the time is precious. But when a guy either makes it or doesn't make it through the course, you want to know that he's had every chance.
Yeah.
And the best one is, Heater. What a phenomenal ability to teach. Condor's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Condor can lecture. Condor could lecture to the President of the United States, and he'd listen to him.
Yeah.
He's that good. And not just teach it, but you got to have the admiration and respect, even in industry.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Bean, Beth, Bill Bean owned Airsure Limited, second biggest aviation insurance company. And I spent a couple, 3 days talking to his people. And God, man, he just brought in some talent.
Mm-hmm.
And they continued to grow and grow and grow. And the Navy, it's a selection process.
Yeah.
It's a forward to that book. I don't care what you're doing. If you follow their abilities of a human being that you're considering to use in your organization.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use those and the person stays motivated because you're motivating him, it just keeps building and building and building and building. And then the Navy's got to reward them. And promote them.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. You're on the right track. Are you working government contract?
No, I try to stay away from the government just because it's too problematic. The industry needs it. So where we are with artificial intelligence now is we're starting to see the same type of thought process with what you saw in the 60s. Let's use new techniques. Let's use new technology. Let's kind of move the human out of the system. We're going to shoot long range. That's kind of what's going on. Yeah. So we're losing human capability, and we in complexity theory, it's path dependent. Your past matters. When you were talking about your connection to the aces of World War II, they were giving you a background of what happened, from their best ability to recall the past and help you understand how to max perform any aircraft. So what performance, looking backwards to understand what happened, so you can understand what's happening now, so you can project out what's happening in the future. Bart and I have had this conversation several times. When you do a basic 1v1, you go out to Whiskey 291 or wherever it may be around here, you set up your perch sets or whatever set you're setting up. You got a new person in the cockpit or you're training somebody new. The purpose of the debrief, and this is my view, and I want to check in with you on it, is to come back, have an accounting of what happened from multiple perspectives, right? Chances are the instructor is going to have a higher level of situational awareness of what happened. And they're going to bring that back into a debrief and reconstruct that so that the new pilot or the student can learn what to pay attention to outside the next time they do it. And that's how you accelerate performance. Any thoughts on that? Does that sit well with you?
ACMR. That's John Nash and Condor was involved in Cubic Corporation developing it. And that's a not real time, but delayed until debrief type of tool. When I grew up, it was who shot John, man, the biggest guy with the loudest mouth.
Yeah.
And so we learned to write on an e-board card and graphically reconstruct a fight so you could go in and argue with them. And the biggest thing that Top Gun does well still is you never embarrass the guy who's your student.
Okay.
Never. You know, we're a brotherhood. We're a fraternity.
So I want to pause there real fast. I've had another Yank on the podcast, Yank Cummings. You might know him.
Who?
Yank Cummings. He was an advisor for the last movie, Maverick. Skipper of the Ford, bald-headed, really loud. You can't miss him. I'm sure he's going to listen to this anyway. So what you're describing is creating, I'm going to say it, removing that fear in the debrief, removing that, that's why you don't want to embarrass anybody, right? They may see the world different than the way you see it. Doesn't mean they're right or wrong. It's just how the process works. It's known as psychological safety now. It's how do you create an environment so they can bring their full self. You guys intuitively knew this in the art and science of debriefing back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We know this. This is the key to building leaders. And that's what you're describing right now. I just want to make sure we pause on that so I can share that with you and our audience, that that's what Yank is talking about, is creating the conditions to ensure that those that are in a debrief, that are doing the work, are there to provide you the truth. What do they actually know? Right?
You are, as a leader of a flight with a student, 1v1 or 2v2, you're responsible for the debrief and the accuracy. You're training the brothers who you hope will be invited back to teach at Top Gun, as an example. You know, I've never heard the word fitness report ever used talking about Top Gun. I'm sure they miss or make out fitness reports. That's grade sheets, honey. But I'm sure they do it, but I've never heard that. It just popped in my head. Some of the greatest pilots have come out of pretty cold starts. And of course, the instructors are usually good enough. They could win back in the beginning. My guys could always win, but there are no points in embarrassing. What you want to do is challenge a guy and then debrief him on opportunities that he had that he didn't use. And maybe you go out again the next flight with him and you say, there you did it again, or good move. Yeah. And what you're doing is you're building the man's confidence. And that's how they keep him in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, you get so good. Why in the hell would I give up flying like this?
Yeah.
And what you got, I started to tell you one more thing while my mind's clicking a little bit, is you got to be careful. We went through VA, you know, attack world versus fighter world. And due to some great leadership by some of the CEOs in about the middle of our chain of leadership, we survived that. But even today, the very senior people in Washington, and certainly the politicians, can veto the type of airplanes that you buy.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you something, and I don't care whether it's in there or not.
I won't be in there.
The guys have got, if you want to win a war, any war, Russian, Chinese, you better have pilots that have flown once, twice a day, every day. And the airplanes, you don't want to overload them with technical whiz-bang abilities and command and control, VA or VF-30, the 35, you know. Oh, what a great command and control. Yeah, I asked the Israelis. They love it. But they're not fighting, you know. It's not being used what makes great pilots in my book, me personally, is flight time.
Yeah, experience.
And instead of paying $35,000 an hour for some of the new airplanes and cost per hour, I want to go back to the days of I had more flying than my body could handle.
Yeah.
But I also, in my travels back and forth to Fallon and for various things, I found out had a CO up there was getting 9 hours a month. That's enough to be dangerous.
It's a safety problem.
And if he's getting 9, that means he's probably giving a little bit to his boys, the rest of the brotherhood, to keep them happy. And the next thing you'll get is a Buper's note about re-enlistment rates or staying in. And it's all flight time. In the book, I think I advocate in that book, I like the F5, the simple old P-38 F5.
Yeah.
You give me 150 of those and let me pick the squadrons, and I'll build you a squadron that be unbeatable anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Simple airframe.
Yeah, well, you can't see it either.
No, I got time in the AT-38 with the Air Force, so
Yeah,
I got a lot of time there.
yeah, a lot of good things. AI industry, I'm just now trying to get up to speed. My son Chris is helping me. I'm looking at Google's and Microsoft's, and any ideas you have there, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I want to be able to get on your podcast.
Yeah, so
How do I get on your podcast?
Who? Anyone?
Huh?
Anyone? Or
Well, are they controlled or
the podcast? No. I mean, we can do whatever we want. We can
put them on here?
Yeah. So let's talk about AI real fast. To me, AI is the current large language models. That's what you hear with ChatGPT. That's what you hear on Grok. They are a closed. Yeah. So they're basically closed OODA loops. They're basic, non-thinking things, right? So think about EM theory as a large language model. It doesn't change, right? It's built on the data that's put into it, and that's it. So that's a large language model in our language in our history. A new type of AI would be something that looks and acts like us. It engages with the world. It probes. It learns from failure. It learns from things, and it has a model that it builds up over time. So think about the discussion about experience. You got to go get that experience to build that model up to see what that fight looks like, and so you can anticipate a fight and kick somebody's ass in a short amount of time.
Anticipate a fight?
Anticipate what the fight would look like. So the large.
How do you do that when it's individually driven by two different individuals?
Well, you know the type of platform they're in, and you know if you know your enemy, you know how they're trained, right? That's what you want. That's the best you can do, right?
That's the key, right?
That's the best you can do.
Yeah.
But we can't do that. We can't do that with a large language model. You can't really do that at the moment. So that human, if you think about how we win wars, machines don't fight wars, humans do, and they use their brain, they use their mind. And that's what you demonstrated with the weapons school. Is a lot of it's up here. It's the war up here that's going to win. I think that's where industry, the military industrial complex, and the DoD goes wrong sometimes. Is they think it's a machine, and I think that's what organizations look at. Like, we need this machine, we need this software, we need this. They need to reprioritize that and focus on people. Right? That's what matters. And I think that's the most important lesson. If there's one lesson to take away from.
Yeah, because there's no recourse when it doesn't work. The guy that marketed and sold the idea and the politicians got reelected based upon the whiz-bang capability they advocated that it was going to do.
There you go.
And then you give it to Inch and Schmatz, and he takes it to war, and, yeah, and it doesn't work for a number of reasons. But, really small things can screw up very sophisticated things in combat. And there's only one thing really drives in real combat after the merge, and that is the human's reaction and the fear factor. One of the things that I laughed at for years was simulator time. Many companies say, well, we don't need the flight time. Don't worry about it. The airplane will do it for you, and we don't need the flight time because we've got realistic simulators. What's the one element missing in every simulator?
There's air under the butt. Yeah.
Your butt's hanging out.
Yeah.
You betcha. And you and I know that. There's nothing like seeing those black puffs or those white puffs or seeing the 17s bullets going by. Some of them big enough you could see.
Yeah, you can't simulate that.
And the other thing we do well now is like Area 51, I got to fly the MiGs. And boy, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
You get to fly the opposition.
So you write about that in the book, your experience at Area 51, where the MiG-17, MiG-21, I think we had captured.
Yeah.
And then you got to go, you put hours into the MiG-17, is that right? You got some?
Yeah.
And just, going back to the AIM-9B, if I understand it correctly, an AIM-9 went into a MiG-17 somewhere that didn't go high order. And then that's how they built the AA-2. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, so these aircraft at Area 51, you got to see that we had something there. See any aliens by any chance?
What?
Any aliens by any chance?
They were flying.
Were they flying? No. Okay. I just want to make sure.
No. And the Air Force guys at Area 51 were as good as my guys. They really were good.
Yeah.
And no, I personally, and I'm keeping track of the picture up there is me flying with Blue Angel 1 in the Super Hornet.
Yeah.
I was 80.
When? Like
87 years old.
Nice.
And we went out. We took off at Los Alamitos. He was doing the air show at, I love to tell this story. He called me in September and he said, I'm going to be doing the air show around Seal Beach, and I'm going to bring the team into Los Alamitos. And he said, so you got some friends of yours want you to fly with me. And he said, I'd be honored. So I said, are you kidding me? And I said, do you know how old I am? And he said, that don't matter. So anyhow, I go down, and the only one that almost had apoplexy was my cardiologist.
Yeah.
Well, oh, shit. I told him I had to get him to sign off the government paperwork.
Yeah. Did you have to
He wouldn't do it.
No?
Her son, the doctor, signed off my ability to fly with Blue Angel 1.
All right.
He's a doctor. So, Dr. Bob. And so anyhow, I go down there and she's with me, and Condor's my backup in case something happens to me and I can't do it.
Okay.
Or I chicken out. Yeah, I ain't going to chicken out.
Which skipper was it? Do you remember? Which skipper was it that brought you on of the Blues? What boss?
Oh.
Do you remember off the top of your head? I'm trying to think.
Just a minute.
I can think of the last few.
So anyhow, Brian Kesselring.
Okay.
And I go down and sit through a great briefing by Blue Angel 1, and I go out to the airplane and give me a flight suit. And here's an airplane that got me in the back seat with my name, Top Gun 1 on it.
Nice.
And the current CO, a Top Gun from Fallon, had come down. And then somebody hired a photo bird.
All right.
So Top Gun 1, old and new, were in the air together. And we took off.
Know about this.
We took off on a westbound runway and Super Hornet. And he goes up 500 feet, 500 knots. And we're still over land. And I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "We got to go downtown Long Beach." And I said, 500 knots. And it was a Friday afternoon, and they had the Grand Prix races downtown.
Yeah.
So shock and awe wasn't going to bother anybody. We went across Long Beach Metropolitan at 500 knots at 500 feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we hit the coastline, and he goes, and he checks in with Los Angeles Center. And he checks in Los Angeles Center, Blue Angel 1, over. Station calling. Say again. This is Blue Angel 1. And the guy says, "Really?" and so we go out and we overfly Avalon, the island, at 1,000 feet, damn near supersonic. And I said, what do you want to do? He asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't care. I'm just loving this." And I was, oh man, that was an e-ticket ride.
Yeah.
So he said, "Let's go down to Fight Club. It's Friday afternoon."
Whiskey 291. Is that where you went?
Yeah.
All right. You go get anybody the bird?
We went down looking. And I thought, boy, this ought to
Who's out here?
Yeah, Blue Angel 1 in a Blue Angel airplane looking for a hassle.
Yeah.
Any other flag?
Nah. But he said, "Nah, there's nobody down here."
Yeah.
And I don't think the radar worked. But he demoed all the aspects of the airplane that I knew about. And he is good, man. Brian Kesselman. You know who his grandfather was?
You know.
His grandfather was Hermann Göring's chief of staff, Second World War.
Oh.
And he comes from good stock.
Good stock, yeah.
A pretty fair fighter pilot. And he is really good. Now he's a CAG on. He's the wing commander on George Washington right now, out in South China Sea.
Did you roll both roles? Were you a CAG and a skipper?
What? Oh,
yeah. You did both, right? So you did.
Oh, yeah.
We don't do that anymore. We have two tracks now, right?
I know.
So you got to do both.
I don't know why. You know.
Or the nuke power? I don't know. I don't know why we're doing it.
If a guy works that hard, and even some of the guys don't make it a Top Gun, but have worked their way up through to be a CAG, they all, I think they split the job so that they can give it out to more people.
Yeah.
But flight time is the key in the future, any war. The guys have got to fly. And if you or anybody in leadership doesn't allow them to build flight time, hell, if I was CNO right now, I would buy 3,000 F5s with a new engine in them and a gun, maybe some winders.
Yeah.
Something that you can, and I would actually go over here in California and take the reserve fuel. There is a lot of in the ground. It's here. And I would give my key tactical people access to that fuel. Not the airliners. I wouldn't trade it to foreign countries like Biden did. But I'd make sure my boys are prepared if they're going to go to combat.
Yeah. So you're talking about maintaining human capability with the acceleration of technology.
That's a key
This is
to John Boyd.
Yeah, that's it.
John Boyd hit them all except for one.
Mhm.
And I'm advocating the one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll join in with,
Mhm.
boy, you put John Boyd's idea with mine.
Yeah.
But win or lose, it's still a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the human in an airplane, over sophisticated, you put too much pilot loading,
Mhm.
tend to do that. And then there's night carrier landings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's when I was talking to Hodge last week, maybe, and then something came up. I don't know what it was. And then I think it's the first time since I left the Navy that I thought, like, I was like,
Why did we do that?
Every once in a while, I have a dream about them.
You have the story behind the boat where we're below the flight deck to come up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Point that out.
Hey, man, you had no choice.
Yeah. You had no choice. I was like, yeah.
I know. Even the LSO didn't chew my ass.
I can't
He
believe
thought
that.
it was pretty good.
You lost all instruments? Is that what it was? I can't.
No, snow.
Oh,
Up in
snow.
Korea.
Worse.
And
She's good.
you know who taught me that? Zeke Hormier, CEO of the Blue Angels.
Yeah.
Years and years ago. In fact, Zeke Hormier was probably the reason I joined the Navy. When I was enlisted, he was at the base on a Sunday with the team, and I watched them fly, and I said, I want to do that.
Mhm.
What else you got?
I got all kinds of stuff. I want to talk about your new book. You said it's about your time on Skipper of the Ranger. Anything else you want to impart with our listeners about
No.
the weapons school or your new book?
We could take a break.
Sure, we can take a break. Yeah.
Huh?
That's where we are in time. Yeah. Yeah.
You got time left?
Yeah, we have some time, a little bit of time left. Yeah, we're up for anything else. That's just a great conversation. So many things to unpack. And you mentioned so many people that I've come across over the years when I came into the Navy, Pepe being one. My first time at the weapons school was here at Miramar, where Pepe gave me a tour. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a legend. And then, of course, the book Cutting Edge by Heater, Heatley, I think is the last name, that work that came across there. There's stories that I was told by folks who have passed. One of them is Rhino Wilkie. About 2018, he sat down with me at a pool and explained to me all the lessons that the weapons school, our TOPGUN, passed on to our Navy SEALs. So everything that you started has federated out to other places, except for our SWO community. They can't get this through their head. It's the human in the cockpit.
No, you know what it is? It's leadership dominance by non-aviators. And they just can't relinquish people that have responsibility, like a ship, captain of a ship. They can't relinquish the responsibility drags on into their interaction with their people. They just won't let go of it.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I didn't mind it, see him not do it because it was a distraction, more workload for our guys. And God knows they work hard right now. I mean, when you talked about briefing, debriefing, and murder boarding, and you have to be able to do the things that are asked of you, and if you don't, they get rid of them once in a while.
Bart asked me last night or the other night about having presence on a stage and how do you build that up? And my view is coming into the Navy, going through the programs and learning how to do this is all a result of what you created at the weapons school, right? You started this and you said, we need to build this. You talked about earlier, but you build that confidence up, you build that ability to get up in front of people, your peers that are rock stars, right? And deliver something to them where they beat that shit for getting something wrong. Yeah, and not necessarily embarrassing you, but you build that fraternity or that order there where people can come up and go, hey, that's not quite right. It is an environment that cannot be experienced unless you go through what we all live through in fighter aviation, tail hookers, and that is what is it that we really bring to the fight when we leave the cockpit? And that is our coaching ability, our situational awareness, which is painful because we see things that others don't see because we're learning in an environment where we're closing in on something at 1,300 miles per hour or faster. We're making decisions under pressure, not just time pressure, but physical pressure on our brains, our spines. We're getting, we're losing oxygen to our brain. All this is happening to our bodies. And then we have to come back and recall what happened and do it over and over and over again. Yet when you coach an organization, they will not bother to do any of that. They think it's so simple that we already know how to work together as a team. We're so good at this. And then I'm like, why are you failing? Why do you suck if you're so good at this? So the lessons from our weapons school and the Air Force as well. Don't get me wrong. The Air Force has a good weapons school. They're not about fighting the aircraft. They're about the human, right? That's kind of how I feel about what you brought to the world.
Yeah, well, first of all, Top Gun was in the beginning a goal to be a graduate level academic organization dealing with flying and winning with airplanes. That's never changed. And it's like getting a PhD. The guys that have gotten in and gotten that education and excelled and stayed in have done well. Many of them have gotten out for family reasons, and God bless them. Man, that's all. That's okay. But the whole process from the first time you set foot in Top Gun's environment, you're growing. You're going to you're a doctor in aviation tactics. And the other thing is really important is you end up, and you may not do this, and most of the guys don't realize it until it's happened to them. They build a service reputation.
Yeah.
The guys up at Fallon right now, it's not uncommon to you have a phone call. Who is it? It's Admiral so-and-so. Or it's the air boss himself. And he's got somebody's probably industry has made a call on the senior officer somewhere in the approval or selection process and made some statements, civilian, and they'll call Top Gun now.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember what SME means?
Yeah.
Okay. We know how up there, they know how to pass them. What's the subject? What can we do for you? Okay. And a lot of times the guys, lieutenant, will talk to a 4-star and give him, because he's the SME, and that was part of our original. One of the things that I found in the initial effort was there was so much information, not just from the individuals that flew in Korea and Vietnam. Korea was the beginning of jets for the Navy. But there was so much tactical information, so much good maintenance information on the airplane. And so one of the things I immediately said is that's why I got an Intel guy.
Uh-huh.
I want a central repository for technical information and things to do with fighter aviation.
Yeah.
And right now, it's the best in the world. Then anybody that's work.
Yeah.
But by God, they've got it.
That's all Sun Tzu. That's know your enemy. Know exactly what their capabilities are so we can build our own capabilities and tactics around that.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful because they're pretty good at espionage.
Yeah.
And, and then that kind of reputation that, yes, I can get an answer for you. Let me talk to my SME. And he'll go and validate something in the library.
Mhm.
And then he'll call you back. Yes, ma'am.
All right. We're going to wrap it up here in a minute.
Are you leaving?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, thank you for everything.
Nice
Hey, she's going to go. You need to go with her for a minute? You okay?
All right.
All right.
It is Poncho's podcast, but 30 seconds, a minute. I was a boat schooler, an academy graduate, and my roommate, he ended up being on the part chief, so he was a sea mariner. And his son just selected naval aviation and had a picture driving into the gates at Pensacola. So I texted him, welcome to the,
Oh, God.
it's the greatest ride you'll ever have, all true. Brand new aviator just starting. What words of wisdom might have one? I'll make sure the little lesson.
Just fly. Careers, I hate that word. It's careers. I never thought ahead. All you do is you get very good at what you do, and you move on to the next thing, and your reputation will carry you.
Mhm.
And your reputation until you run into politicians. And that's what killed me. Goddamn guy. Up for re-election.
Mhm.
That's lucky. At least it wasn't a bullet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ended up home with her,
Yeah.
which was better.
Yeah. I think it is the axiom or the idea to be or to do. To be part of the system is to be that careerist, to do all those things that you need to do to get ahead or to do something, which is change the course of naval aviation. You did something. You changed the course of naval aviation, right? That's the difference. And that
wasn't my intention in the beginning. That was the aggregate.
Yeah.
That was the aggregate of 8, 9 guys, and maybe the first 30 years. And of course, it didn't hurt us the way we came out of Vietnam. We're the only people that won anything in Vietnam. 24-1.
That's the ratio after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went from 2 to
So
1.
the Air Force stayed still right around 2.
Yeah, because they had Mumar running it.
Yeah.
3-star Mumar.
And you
Old man.
There you go. And you got Lieutenant Commander Pederson leading the world right there, right? With naval aviation, getting everybody to.
Not me.
Well, your team.
8 guys.
Yeah, your team.
If you read my book carefully, you'll find out that I never have. I ended up writing the book, which kind of put me in a prominent role, but
It was a team.
every one of the guys were so good at what their given areas were. Phenomenal. So
We appreciate your time today. That was.
we can do this, and you can call me anytime.
Oh yeah.
I'm interested in what you're doing.
We could talk
You
about
making
that.
any money?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can make money doing this. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, in industry, let's build on that. So, in industry, over the last 15, 20 years, there's this thing called Agile. It was Agile software development.
Yeah.
Big portion of that was inspired by a former fighter pilot named Jeff Sutherland. He was an RF-4C pilot in Vietnam. What he did is he took a framework that looks like plan, brief, execute, debrief. It's the same framework, to be honest with you, and added a mission commander in there. So they called that a product owner. And they sold this framework to everybody as this is what you need to do. Well, we know that that's just a framework. What you put in that maps how you plan, how you brief, how you actually execute, how you create situational awareness, how you shed those tasks, how you create distributed leaders, and more importantly, how you come back and debrief. That's all that matters. But for the last 20 plus years, industry got fixated on the framework, not the actual interactions. By the way, AI is heading in this direction now. It's the interactions, it's the interoperability, it's that those protocols that we put in place, those habits of mind that we create. That's how AI is going to work, more than likely going to work in the future. It's going to follow the same model that you built, right? So yes, money can be made by those that are interested in dominating, but not everybody's interested in dominating. They just want to get by.
Yeah. Pretty much the guys that do podcasts about Top Gun have been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We did one with the famous SEAL, didn't we?
Marcus Luttrell?
No.
Oh, Jocko.
Jocko.
Yeah.
4 hours she and I were with Jocko.
Did you get after it at 4 a.m.?
Man, is he smart. God damn, he is smart. And we got a couple of guys that I turned down, one who will go unnamed today because he got through Top Gun and bailed. And all he's done is his underwear stapled Top Gun,
I think I know who that is. So I'll leave it at that.
Give him the time of day.
I appreciate that. This means a lot to us. It really does. The story is so important. Your life story, you and Mary Beth, everything that you guys have done needs to be shared with.
Our time is about over, isn't it, babe? We've done it. This. I'll be honest with you. I just got other things to do every day, and this thing, new surgery here.
Mm-hmm.
I got wires going up into my thalamus. Try a night carrier landing with that. I can reset the amplitude of what's going in, but the old body's tired. And but the thing is, I will always be available to help the brotherhood. The association, and you need to join.
Right.
If you aren't. Bulldog, you know who Bulldog is?
I don't. Do you?
Bulldog is a woman that we hired that runs the association.
Okay.
A neat little lady, boy. And, we raised a lot of money. A lot of the money is going to support the guys that we've lost and their families. You don't know what familial problems might be.
Yeah.
Dormant, heartbreak, a woman, promiscuity, fatigue.
Yeah.
That I worry more about our guys that because of the workload. And the better they've gotten over the years, the more has been asked of them. And once you get on that bandwagon or treadmill, you can easily step off because the brothers are all around there doing the best they can. And the Air Force is bigger, well-funded. They don't have to deploy, and they don't make carrier landings at night. Nate Carolini's the real reason a lot of guys get out.
It's high stress.
And they can't. You know, I saw a couple guys turn their wings in Vietnam, and they just didn't have the guts to do it day after day after day after day. You know, we were going twice a day, or
In the real
every
combat.
other day we're going daytime, nighttime, daytime, nighttime. Shit. You know. And then you run into the politicians.
Yeah.
I wish I had another 10 years. I'd write a book about the problems with the politicians and what they do to the military.
Yeah.
God, some of the poor, what's the word we use? Poor flesh? No, that's not right. You know, the poor intellect of some of our politicians that are in office. And worse yet is the electorate that elected those people. God almighty.
It's a system problem, yes. Yeah.
No, I thoroughly enjoy sitting talking with you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime I can spend with the brotherhood,